Now, I would like to share some of the individual examples of transformation, or stories of how the creative word transformed, or how the creative word was manifested and actualized in this prison, in the lives of some of these individual young men. One short, dark, handsome young man had been in those days we call them black Muslims, and he truly hated whites. And he once said that when he would go through these tunnels in prison, that he would pray that when he would turn a corner and enter another tunnel, that there would be a white person walking down that tunnel so that he could hate him. And he said after coming to these meetings and studying the words of Baha'u'llah, he no longer had those feelings. An older man was sitting next to me during one of the fireside meetings, and he had always been very quiet and very much to himself. But this night he said to me, he said, I have something I want to tell you. And so I didn't think too much of it, and then I didn't really respond right away. And then he said again, he said, Mrs. Dobbins, he said, I have something I want to tell you. And I don't know if he said it 3 times or something or not. But anyway, finally I said, well, tell me, what is it? He said, I found a wallet in the hall the other day, and I turned it in to security, and he said, I had been waiting 40 years to do a truthful act, and I know it is because I am coming to these meetings. One very young man, probably the youngest of the bunch, very handsome white fellow. One day he just said casually, one evening he said, I find myself using the words beautiful and attractive or joyful words, using the word joyful. And he said, I never remember using these words. These men, one of them at one time said, with their first shot of heroin, they had experienced the first peace that they had ever felt in their lives. There was a very famous pianist there. His name was Hampton Hawes. He was absolutely one of the most handsome men you could ever imagine, young little boy face. His father was a minister in California. He had a lovely wife, and everyone was, first of all, he was very talented, incredibly talented. And, but the problem was he had been caught with drugs, and he had been given one of these very severe punishments of 10 years in prison. And everybody felt that that was very unjust for a first offense. So this man, Hampton Hawes, had been coming to many meetings, and he had seen and felt the transformation of many of these young men, because the group grew to a larger group other than the original 19. Anyway, he was coming to the meetings, and one evening he had talked to the men separately. He had wanted to have some kind of an experience. He had seen these young men have experiences or become transformed, and he just had never felt anything. He had never, he had not had what he termed as a spiritual appearance. And one night he spoke to me about it, and I said, it's not important. There are different ways, Hampton, that people are touched. You love the writings, you see the truth in them. I said, these are different. There are different ways. Just be joyful with what you understand. But he wanted to have some kind of a sign. Anyway, the story goes that one day he got, first of all, he wrote home. And he hadn't done that in years. And he received a letter back from his father. And in the letter, the father told him that his letter came at a time when his mother had had a heart attack, and that the letter had saved his mother's life. Now, this was the experience that he needed. The men described that two men, one on either side of Hampton, he made them take him immediately to sign his card of declaration that he wanted to be a Baha'i. Because he knew that he would have, the only reason he wrote home was because of these meetings and studying these words of Baha'u'llah. And that this act had saved his mother's life. Very, very, all the men were affected by this, as you can well imagine.